was that first step that you took to change your life around? I'm sure there was many, and it probably didn't happen overnight.
Even as a kid, I was seeking to understand different religions and would go to my friend's house who were Jewish. And why do you have separate plates for different things? What is this all about? Nam Yoho Renge Kyo. I was always like very curious. Everything we need is already within us. We already brought it with us. It's already here. Life didn't make a mistake. God didn't create a bunch of IKEA furniture with missing parts. Like it's all good. I teach a process called the life code, which is to understand that your life's work is encoded in your life story. The workshop you've been living is the one you're meant to be giving.
Hello and welcome to Make Things Happen podcast. My name is Diana Pagano, your host, and today we have a very special guest, Derek Rydall. He is a human evolution coach, transformational leader, and best-selling author. What perfect timing. We are starting still brand new year in 2026, considered in February. And his book comes out very soon. And can't wait for you to talk more about that. But welcome, Derek.
Thank you. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much for being here. Gosh, I'm just so excited when I hear AI and your new book that's coming out. It's called A Whole New Human. And man, it sure feels that way. It feels that, we evolve as humans, right? There's been such evolution that just has happened in our, hundreds and hundreds of years. There's nothing new. I remember when, the internet came around and computers and people freaked out that they were going to get replaced for their jobs. So I'm so excited to just dive into this and get to know who you are. So talk to us a little bit about what your background is. You've written other books as well. And I want to touch on that a little bit.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was into computers as a kid. I was a computer geek. I could take apart anything, put it back together again. And so I was the kid that everybody went to reprogram their VHS or VCR or their sprinkler system or their alarm system or whatever. And I remember watching the movie War Games and with Matthew Broderick. And I went home and wrote a program for hacking into the government and promptly scared the out of my mom, who thought men in black were going to come take me away. But and then I moved from that into being into, as I was in high school, being into the brain, so the computer between our ears. And I was, a scholarship kid, and I was going to go to college to be a neuroscientist. And then somewhere right before I decided to do that, I fell in love with acting and drama, and I ended up being in movies, and I ended up becoming more of the artist and the romantic and the poet. And I fell in love with the heart. So I went from the computer to the brain to the heart. And that lasted for a while as I was a professional actor and did film and TV and all that. And then while I was doing a film, I had a near-death experience. And in this moment, the veil parted and I saw the self that I'd been trying to fix and improve for years. And he was a fictional character. And I saw that there was another self that had never been damaged. And so it couldn't be improved upon. Oh, wow. And that self-improvement was really an oxymoron. And my life changed forever in a whole different way. So I went from computers to the brain, to the heart, to the soul. Wow. And then over the last several years, even before ChatGPT, I had a vision of what was coming with AI. I wasn't looking for this vision. It just dropped in and the voice said, build an ark, the flood is coming. And it showed me this massive transformation that was coming. And it drove me back, like recursively back into technology. And it showed me that, I've spent 25 years helping people with their inner technologies, their deeper purpose, their transformational capacity, how to generate wealth and abundance, intuition, creativity, and how it all fits together. And the basic message was that more than ever now, we have to invest in our inner technologies if we want to, survive and thrive on the other side of this massive, industrial revolution that we're going through right now.
Wow. That's incredible. Yeah. So you started.
I know that's a lot. That's a lot of things there.
No, that's good. That's great. So what was your first book that you wrote?
Well, the first book that I wrote, I think it wasn't a self-help book. I was in the entertainment industry. I was an actor and I was a screenwriter and a script consultant. And I wrote a book. I think the first one was actually There's No Business Like Soul Business, I think was the first one. Or maybe that was, I could have written a better script than that because I was a screenwriter. And there were successful books in the entertainment industry. And There's No Business Like Soul Business was really popular people literally carried it around like a Bible because it was a transformational way to be an artist or an actor. And I ended up working with, Academy Award winners and Emmy winners and things like that to help them be a conscious artist or producer or filmmaker in the entertainment industry.
Oh, wow.
And then after that, I had the book Emergence, which was based on that near-death experience when I finally saw
Wow.
and discovered a principle that allowed me to turn my whole life around. And that's in that book, Emergence.
So you had a near to end of life situation. That's incredible. And that inspired you,
Yeah.
I'm sure, to get to writing your book. And
Yeah,
yeah.
it didn't just inspire me. I mean, it shifted the whole trajectory of my life. It showed me that my whole model of how we were meant to grow and heal and fix ourselves was really the opposite of how we were actually designed to do it.
Mm. So yeah, it definitely changes you, right?
Yeah, I mean, it profoundly changed me. And, the idea that we're broken or that we're lacking or that we need to add something to us or we need to get something outside of us, it showed me that that model was just simply not accurate. And it revealed that just like every seed in nature or every seed already has a perfect pattern within it, and that, like the acorn analogy I use a lot, the acorn does not go out and achieve oakhood or
Mm.
earn its way to being an oak or prove itself into an oak. It doesn't build an oak. It doesn't accomplish an oak. The oak is already in the acorn.
Mm.
And when it surrenders to the soil and when the conditions in its environment become congruent with the pattern within the seed, what's in there naturally emerges.
Right.
And I saw that that's how all of nature operates. And it's also how we were designed to operate. And when I got that, I went from being broken, literally suicidal,
Wow.
in my whole life, turning around, launching my life's work, making a lot of money, falling in love, really just transforming my whole life. Everything I had been striving and struggling for,
Hmm.
most of the effort to go get and make it happen is resistance to the natural unfoldment. Instead, you have to make it welcome.
Mm.
And like the analogy I use for people is your favorite music is playing right now on a radio station. And for those of you young people, radio is a thing we used to do, we used to have back in the old days. But your favorite song is playing on the radio. And when you tune into that frequency, that station literally becomes manifest, right? I like to say you have a manifestation, but the music was already playing. You didn't make it happen.
Mm.
You made it welcome.
You
You
made it
got an
welcome.
alignment with the same frequency that that music was playing on.
I love
And
that.
that's the same thing with our life, the abundance we want, the love we want, the joy we want, the freedom we want, the fulfillment we want, even the great ideas we want. They're already here. We just have to tune in and we
I
have
love
to
that.
come into
It's about
alignment
getting
with it.
into alignment. I love that you said that because it's
Yeah,
always available. And I
exactly.
love that you say that because I talk a lot about energy as well and frequencies and what frequency we as humans, I don't care, who you are, what your background is, what doesn't discriminate, right? You are always omitting a certain level of frequency based, and I always say this, based on the beating of your drum. So it's always available to us. And I like that you mentioned, Derek, that when you're available to it, right? It's there, but it's not going to happen for you. You're not going to change your life until you're open for it and ready to receive.
Yeah,
So,
instead
yeah,
of making it happen, I say you want to make it welcome
make it
and be
welcome.
receptive.
I love
Yes.
that. Yes, because you got to welcome it first,
You
right?
don't have to be a doormat, but you do have
No.
to be a welcome mat.
Yes, very true, very true. So, talk to me about that time that, what was that first step that you took to change your life around? I'm sure there was many, and it probably didn't happen overnight. Can you talk to us about
It
that
definitely didn't.
transition?
Yeah, there's no such thing as overnight. I mean, yeah, I mean, the overnight success that was 20 years in the making.
True.
Um, I mean, there's like I said, I've always been on a adventure or quest or a seeker. Even as a kid, I was seeking to understand different religions and would go to my friend's house who were Jewish. And
Mm.
why do you have separate plates for different things and separate dishwashers? And I go to my Buddhist friends and what is this all about? Nam Yoho Renge Kyo. And then I would go to, and so I was always like very curious and a seeker. And but then again, it wasn't until I had that near death experience that something really cracked open in me. And I had been trying to improve myself. I'd done a lot of different stuff, read, some of those channeling books and all these different things. Like so many people, there's like phases we go
Mm.
through,
Yes.
visualization and affirmations and all these different phases of self-improvement. Some of
Mm.
it's more about success teaching, some of it's more about mental teachings, mastering your mind, think and grow rich, all these kinds of stages and phases we go through. And I went through those like everybody else. But instead of it improving me, it drove me literally to drink. It drove me to become
Wow.
addicted because the only thing I really improved was my ability to describe why my life was messed up and where it came from when I was 10. And my father looked at my report card and saw all A's and a B and said, "What's with the B, son?" Like I could describe
Mm.
very well, tell the story, but this efforting to fix, change, heal, improve my life, myself, I thought that was the way you did it. But but it turned out that that was all just piling resistance on top of resistance
Mm.
on top of resistance, like driving with your foot on the gas and your other hand on the emergency brake or something. But when I had this near death experience, I saw clearly that the self I'd been trying to fix and improve and heal was a fiction, was an amalgamation of parental fantasies,
Mm.
social contracts and conditioning, peer pressure,
True.
and that nothing I would ever do would make him enough. He was a fiction, but there was a self in the midst of that version of me who was whole and complete and couldn't be improved upon and also was never diminished or damaged and so didn't need to be fixed.
Mm.
And so that was the big breakthrough for me that led to me discovering what I eventually coined the law of emergence. And that's what we were just talking about before, that there's already a pattern in us, even Jesus. And then I went back and read Buddhism and Jesus and all these things that I've been using as doorstops,
Okay.
and things to stack my computer on top of, and I didn't understand. And suddenly it all made sense. Even Jesus said, "Heaven's already here, it's already here, but having eyes you can't see it, having ears you can't hear it." All the great
Already
teachers and
here.
masters were teaching that everything we need is already within us. We already brought it with us. It's already here. Life didn't make a mistake. God didn't create a bunch of IKEA furniture with missing parts.
Right.
Like it's all
True.
it's all
True.
good, but we don't experience life as it is. We experience reality as we are through
Mm.
the filters of our stories and our beliefs.
True.
And so as that my story shifted, so did my experience. I began to experience more of the abundance, more of the opportunity, and again, more of a natural unfoldment rather than the forcing and the struggling, the hustling and the grinding. Now, let me be clear, my life has not been a bed of roses, even with that insight,
I'm sure.
but I've had lots of challenges.
Of course.
But understanding this about myself has allowed me to grow through and build back better than most people could going considering the stuff I've been through. So whatever you've been through, whatever people are struggling with, there is when you understand that you already have everything you need and you brought it all with you, the world didn't give it to you and the world can't take it away, then even when you lose stuff or lose people or have setbacks, you will know and understand that you still have everything you need for the big comeback and to come back even bigger and better than before.
Oh my gosh. Love what you're saying. I cannot wait to get my hands on your book. And because I can only imagine. And I love that you mentioned, Derek, for anyone listening here, I talk a lot about beliefs. I talk a lot about we don't always get what we want surface level, but we always get what we believe at
Yes.
our core. And I love that you
Yes.
mentioned, just our identity. Our identity is the story. I don't care which way you slice it. Like
Yes.
whatever you associate yourself, like I'm a person that's never been able to do this, or my family never did it, therefore I'm never going to do it. And it goes back
Yes.
so far back sometimes. And I don't even know if it makes sense for anyone listening in saying, where did I get this belief? Does it matter? What do you want to believe instead? Because you mentioned
Exactly.
everything's available to us. And so How
Yes.
would someone right now that says, easy for you to say everything's going great for you, even though you just shared that you were not always, you were broke, you were, end of life situation. And
You want to feel better about your life? Let me tell you a few things about mine,
yes,
and you.
right, exactly. You don't see the behind the stuff, and
Yes.
if somebody's trying to change their life right now and your book's not out yet, for example, um, there's a
It
lot
will
of,
be when they're listening to this.
they will be. That's true. This week it will be coming out, the week of. But if they want, where do they start? I know you're a transformational leader. You have transformed a lot of people. Yes.
Yes.
Um, your book is going to change lives. It's going to, I know that your book, just by you're describing it, even when I got to know, my team told me a little bit about what your background was, and before having you on, and such an honor to have you.
Thank you.
It sounds like to me, even just the title of, of your book, that you're going deeper with it. It's not just surface level, and I'm not knocking any book out there that has definitely
Sure.
earned its place, but we do need to look at ourselves and know that becoming our best selves there is a whole new human that in your book, right, to describe that we already have what we need, and the old version of us, I feel that are all of us have it, right? I can't wait to be in my 50s and my 60s. Like, it sounds crazy. My husband and I, when we met, I was 31, and I remember telling him like it was yesterday, I can't wait to be in my 40s, and he's like, are you crazy? I'm not in a hurry. Like, I know when I get there, but we have to look right. I am a whole
You'll
new
get
human.
there. Don't worry.
I'll get there.
Yes.
But no pun, obviously your book, a whole new human. I knew I was going to be a whole new human in my 40s because I went through my self-discovery phase in late 20s, early 30s, where I was like, we really can control these thoughts that are happening, blah, blah, blah. I also went through transformation. I'm sure everybody has a story, but this is very important. So talk to me about a whole new human is out in the world, and someone gets their hands on it.
Yes.
What can they expect? We talked a lot, so a whole new human. And why don't we pull it up again? Because I want to see the language on
Yeah.
there. 10 ways we must evolve to survive and thrive in the AI age. Isn't that correct? My husband talking about this conference in New
Yeah.
York about AI, and there is so much with AI, but I love that you're turning this back almost like a mirror.
Yes.
You have everything you need. It
You
doesn't
notice,
matter.
yeah, this is even mirror foil kind of
Oh, I
stuff on them.
love that. That's
Yeah.
intentional. So without giving too much, because you got to get the book, okay? You got to get the book. There's some good stuff in there I already know. And
Yes.
even
And
just
I'm
listening.
also, yeah, I'm not just giving, I mean, we can talk about the most critical reasons why. And also I'm giving people, they don't just get the book, but I built these AI tools, which are, one is an evolutionary coach and one is a focus coach.
Mm.
And it's built on my 25 years of teaching and coaching hundreds of thousands of people, excuse me, including Oscar winners, Emmy winners, Fortune 500 execs. So, coaches, teachers, healers, entrepreneurs, creators, artists. And so I built these AI tools based on the book and based on my 25 years of training and coaching people so that you can get immediate insight. It's your personalized evolution coach and focus
Mm.
coach. It's like having me in your back pocket
I
and
love that.
24/7. And so that's another, and it's cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars to learn all this and research and build this. And I'm giving those away for free when people just buy the book.
Wow.
So,
It's
but the
amazing.
reason is because I've poured so much into this. As I said earlier, I didn't plan on focusing on this, but AI and the implications of it is the greatest existential shift in our world that we're going to experience, other than a meteor hitting the planet.
Right.
um,
True. Can't
it's
avoid that, I guess.
this is going to be the greatest shift, like the last biggest industrial revolution, where we were all farmers and then there were no more
Mm.
farmers. The entire agrarian way of life changed forever, and we're heading into a post-capitalist,
Mm.
post-economic, even post-intelligence world, meaning
So true.
intelligence, the very thing that brought us down from the trees on the savannah and shot us up into the stars, is going to become a commodity.
Wow.
And that's the very thing that made us unique,
Right.
was our ability to have intelligence, to solve problems, and to solve problems outside of just our instinct, which is what other animals do. And so when AI can do everything a human can do better, faster, cheaper, and it can already do about 40%, in the latest models are showing that it's literally already achieving what's called AGI. And when it hits
So true.
AGI, that's where it starts the quick takeoff, and it can go to super intelligence. But basically, the stated mission of all the big AI companies is replace all human labor.
Mm,
And now this is, people think, well,
that's
that would
true.
be great. I won't have to work
I won't,
anymore. I'll get UBI,
or I won't
something
have
like
any
that.
overhead. I'll decrease my
Ri-
overhead. That's a
Right.
big
And there's a
one.
lot of, let me be very clear. I'm not a Luddite. I'm not inviting anybody to go blow up AI, data centers, anything like that.
Of course.
I'm not the Unabomber. I'm just very much
Right.
pro-human technology.
Mm,
And as I said earlier, I've been helping humans develop their inner technology for 25 years, through thick and thin, through tragedy and loss, through loss of fortune and rebuilding back my fortune. And and the important thing to remember is that we are the real super intelligence. We are the killer app the world's waiting for.
mm.
And but humans have done this throughout history. We've done it, the Tower of Babel in the Bible, Frankenstein, The Sorcerer's Apprentice by
Right.
Goethe. We always try to build an outer god or technology instead of remembering and recognizing and developing our own divinity or our own inner technology. But the foundations of our world are built on individuals,
True.
whether you believe it's Buddha, Jesus, or Socrates, or Plato, or Aristotle, or
Whoever you
these
believe
these
in.
these individuals. What's that?
I said, whoever you believe in.
Yeah, there's
Right.
just, but before science, before a lot of outer technology,
Mm-hmm.
they were already tapping into all the secrets of the universe.
True.
So that's our capacity. But with every new technology, we outsource a little bit of our humanity, and we outsource a little bit of our cognitive ability.
So
People used to
true.
argue over the calculator, and then GPS,
Oh my
and
gosh.
now, and on and on and on. And now MIT shows, the latest study, that when kids use AI consistently, their cognitive abilities fall off a cliff. So, so the important thing to understand is that while AI can help us to leverage and be more productive and scale our capabilities and remove some of the machine-oriented tasks that
Mm,
many of us have been doing,
right.
we have to be very mindful that it will also try to take away many of the things that need to remain ours. And the second thing is, if you want to still have a job,
Right.
just basically, and I mean you and me too, Diana,
Right.
right? If we want to still have a podcast, or books or workshops, or if you want to be
Coaching,
an
training.
accountant or a coach or a lawyer, or even, in the not too distant future, a doctor, you have to start asking, when AI can do everything a human can do, what's a human for?
Mm,
And and the book answers
great
that.
question.
And it answers it in a way that will allow you to future proof your life and your work and your wealth and your well-being, because there is a unique algorithm only you can run. There is a lived wisdom and lived experience, what I call your life code, the original source code that you came with, that AI cannot copy.
Cannot
And when
replace.
and when you embody that in your work, in your message, in your life, in your relationships, whatever it is you do, you will become above the competition. You will become irreplaceable. And
Wow,
and you
that's
will
so
also
true.
continue to have meaning, because one of the other big things is, people think of utopia as we don't have to work anymore. No, that's a dystopia. When
True.
people lose meaning and purpose, they stagnate and they die. This is what Viktor Frankl discovered in the concentration
Right.
camps.
That's
And
reality.
this is also what we know from Harvard studies, where people that retire, they tend to die 2.5 years earlier. I mean, you don't want to retire. You want to do things that you care about, do things that you're passionate about, do things that you're designed for, and you are designed for things. And there's things you can live and do and serve. in ways that will light you up,
Mm.
make you come alive, make you more successful, make a bigger difference, the difference you came for. And so these are all things your audience probably knows about, but they're things that used to be like, that's something you do when you're done with work. That's
Mm.
something you do, you go
Right.
to Esalen or Omega Institute for a retreat, right? You listen to this podcast, you get some inspiration, then you go back to the drudgery.
Right.
No, that's going to need to become front and center now.
Front and center.
Knowing who you really are, knowing what you're really here for, knowing what you're made of and made for, your purpose, your passion, your real potential. These are now going to have to be front and center. They're going to have to now become the new foundation of educational systems, because everything that kids are learning in school right now is going to become obsolete.
Oh my goodness.
So this is why this is a big shift. But the final thing I'll say, and then you can take it over, is if you are a coach, a teacher, a healer, an author, a leader, a change maker, or aspire to be, there will be no greater opportunity than to launch your life's work right now, because literally the whole world is going to be asking for help.
There is a
And
major shift happening.
yeah, and so if you ever wanted to make a difference or an impact or whatever with whatever you want to do, the
This is
world
the
is going to
time.
need a lot of help. And the greatest leaders, change makers, always rise
Mm.
during a great crisis. Look back at COVID and look at today. And the thought leaders of today came up during COVID.
During COVID. It's so true.
So
Wow. That was almost a mic drop, Derek, because you just dropped such awareness to a lot of people that have been saying, what am I going to do with my business, with AI being replaced, or my
yeah,
job? And while everyone's looking externally, right, at the next gadget, the next which AI out of all the AI platforms that
yeah,
exist, you're talking, which I'm so on the same page of look inward. This is where it's at. You're the human that God created us, whoever your God is, created you as a masterpiece. And
yeah.
and the fact that you're bringing that, even with the book, even the essence and the aesthetics of your book is a mirror. I love that so much, because that's where it's at. And I do worry about my kids and their kids, just not using your brain, not using your mind. And
Exactly.
where is the experience? That's
You don't want to become a character in Wall-E,
no,
where they all are sitting on conveyor belts and they're just slugs,
they're just slugs.
just
It's
getting
true.
fed like baby birds. They've lost all
Going through.
interest in the world outside. The planet's a big trash heap. Like, you don't want that.
And yeah, people having, we knew this with social media, how much it's driving people to have
Exactly.
anxiety. But now you
Exactly.
have AI. It's like everything's here. You think you had instant gratification before. I was saying this even when I
Exactly.
started speaking over 10 years ago. I would be like, you send a text message and it takes 4 seconds to send. You're freaking out that something's wrong with your phone because we're so used to instant gratification. And with AI, it's taken that
Exactly.
to a whole different level. So thank you so much.
Yes.
I hope that anyone listening in can reflect inward and not freak out. There's definitely a place for AI. We know that there's a supplement for sure in so many
Absolutely.
capacities, and it's not an enemy. But when you put all your eggs in one basket, when you're just looking at AI as the only solution to get you out of whatever situation or fear it, I don't think it is about that. So I love that your book talks a
No.
lot about that in solutions, because
It's an ally.
it's an
It's a
ally.
tool, and you want to be the user of it, not used by it, right? My
Yes,
daughter used to always say, "Dad,
I
you're
love that.
such a tool. I don't want to be a tool anymore. I want to be using the tools."
You're such a tool.
Right?
It's
And
true.
so, and we have smartphones and increasingly stupid people.
And
And that's
increasingly
not our,
stupid people.
that's
It's true.
because
Sad but true.
we, and it's even true that a phone that's by you, even if it's turned off, cognition lowers. So we just want to be very aware. We're the users, and we have to know ourselves
Mm.
better than we know about anything else. Because if something knows us better than we do, guess who's using who? And these
You're not in
algorithms know
control.
us better. Exactly.
You
These
lose
algorithms
control.
know us better than us.
Right.
There was even that one story of the woman who kept getting pregnancy stuff, and she got really frustrated finally and called out the company. And then it turned out she really was pregnant. The algorithm knew she was pregnant before she was.
That is
So
insane.
yeah, so we have to just understand, and this is before it becomes AGI or super intelligence, and it's just basic algorithms. I mean, they're learning and they're training, but they're knowing us way better than we know ourselves. So we have to go back to the OG self-help principle, Oracle of Delphi. She gave us a warning. She said, know thyself. If you know yourself, you cannot be taken advantage of or manipulated by algorithms or outer authorities or the elite class or whatever your bugaboo is. And if you know yourself, you can actually finally be yourself. And if you are being yourself, you are being something that nobody else can be because everybody else is taken. So that's the
Love that.
key. It's so simple, but it's hard to get back to the first principles of successful and fulfilled living that the great teachers and the foundations of wisdom came from. We have to
Right.
know ourselves and to thine own self be true.
And be true.
And then you won't be able to be taken advantage of. You'll feel empowered, you'll have agency.
Right.
And we want to, and even the word education did not mean stuff us full of a bunch of ideas. It comes from Latin that means educare or educare, which means to educe, to draw out of the individual what is already in them.
What is already in
That's
them.
that's emergence. So we have to get in touch with what's already in us, the gifts, the giftedness, the
Yes.
purpose, the
Yes.
genius, the masterpiece. And we have to teach that to our children, not teach them what to think, but teach them
No.
how to think, because AI will think for you. We have to think for ourselves.
100%.
So and so this book is a manual, a survival and a thrival guide for young people and old, doesn't matter, whether you're going to school, in school, getting out of school, at a job that's about to have its middle management and lower management replaced by AI if it hasn't already,
True.
or you're an artist, a coach, an entrepreneur, and you want to know, how do I break through the noise and be a signal in the noise as our online world is flooded with content, much of it becoming AI slop? How do I break through? How do I stand out? How do I become a signal? How do I connect and communicate to my ideal audience or tribe or clientele? And how do I do that successfully and sustainably? This is what I spent 25 years helping people
I love
do
that.
already.
And when you
So,
say, how do I, talk to my audience and all that, it has to be, I think that, a lot of things that has been lost is our own unique, almost like your own unique value proposition, right? Trying to
yes,
copy everything else and what's
yes,
trending and all this stuff. It's like the best
yes,
thing I always say is like, be yourself, whatever that looks like, because you have no one's like you. You are unique for a reason. And when you say you already have the answers, you already have everything you need within yourself. So one of the last questions I should say,
sure.
one more after this, but where would somebody start if they wanted to say, I don't know what I want to do? Maybe they went to college and maybe they're not even doing that. Maybe they want to start an entrepreneur journey. I know a lot of my audience are entrepreneurs, but what if, regardless of what spectrum, whether you're an entrepreneur and you want to go bigger, or you're like, hey, I haven't yet discovered my purpose. Where should they start besides getting your book?
Yeah, we'll definitely start there. I mean, it will help. And also because the AI tools that I developed will help you actually discover that very answer. Well, and I teach a process called the life code, which is to understand that your life's work is encoded in your life story. The
Mm,
workshop you've been living is the one you're meant to be giving, or the big
I
problems you've
love
been
that.
trying to solve in your life are the problems you were designed to solve for others. And
Oh, I like
so,
that.
Steve Jobs wasn't selling phones. People didn't wait in line all night long
Hmm.
to get a phone. They waited in line to answer their calling, to think different. So Steve Jobs had spent his life trying to think different, trying to break out of the mold. And that's what he was selling,
Right.
how to be that kind of person. And the phone or the computer was just the vehicle to transmit that message and to create that lifestyle. Harley Davidson also didn't sell motorcycles. They sold a way of living and a way of thinking. Again, Easy Rider, Get Off the Grid. Oprah was not doing a talk show. It wasn't a great talk show. It was church. And the sermon was how to live your best life.
Mm.
And so
It's
because
the experience.
that was her journey, how to be authentic and vulnerable and humble and to be her real self in a world that told her she couldn't. So if you look at these great successes, you'll see they're not selling widgets and phones and talk shows, those are not the product. That's the packaging.
That's a
The real
packaging, right?
product is your presence, your
Mm.
embodied and your lived wisdom.
Yes.
And if you can discover what that is, and that unique perspective, that unique taste, that unique lived wisdom, that's the thing AI cannot do,
Cannot ever replace.
right? That's what takes you out of a commodity into an original. That's what's going to make you have be a homing beacon for other humans. So how you can do that is just begin to, and again, I do talk about this in the book, obviously, and in the tools, you'll be able to be walked step by step through this process. But discovering and asking, what is, going through your life and thinking, what are some of the biggest challenges I've overcome? What are some of the biggest life lessons that I've had? And start to harvest the lessons and the blessings of your life's journey. Because again, it's not an accident and it's not a mistake what you've been through. All the stuff you've learned in books, that's great.
That's great, but that's the
But that's
evidence.
already in every other person and every other AI, and that's
True.
not going to be a differentiator. But your unique learning of these universal lessons, it's true there's nothing new under the sun, but your way of knowing it is new.
Is new.
Your way of describing it, the stories that are attached to it, that's new.
That's all you.
That's you. And that's what people are going to resonate with.
Yes.
And so you just start there. Now, of course, you can also just ask some very honest questions. You can just say, if I really, truly was guaranteed to succeed, couldn't fail, and I would be loved and supported, and I could just be myself, and I could just do what I really want, not what I have to, not what I think I should, but I could just do and be, create and contribute in the way that most lights me up, and do that. And just meditate or contemplate or journal about that every day and notice what comes up. Dr. King's mentor, Howard Thurman, said, don't ask what the world wants. Ask what makes you come alive and do that. Because what the world needs are people who have come alive.
Wow. Beautifully said. I love that you mentioned so much in that. I always say that our pain, and my pain, my biggest pain in my life has been such a power.
Yes.
You described it so beautifully. Like, what is it that even you go to Shark Tank, as silly as it sounds, more than, I would say, 99% of them are coming on because they had a problem with the very thing that they created. So whatever that is, big or small, but yes, usually it's our biggest.
Your pain and your biggest problems hold the seeds of your legendary purpose.
They sure do. Wow. So outside of buying your book, where could people find you if they want to work with you? And talk to me about who is your ideal customer that you work with. I'm sure, with you have coaching, maybe work with businesses. Like, where can people find you?
Yeah, I mean, they can certainly go to derekrydall.com, DerekRydall.com, or they can go to Derek Rydall Legendary Life on YouTube. They can also check out my podcast, Emergence, on wherever podcasts are. Millions of downloads, millions of people have.
Awesome.
And on my website, there's lots of free trainings. I give away most of my stuff.
Wow, very cool.
And, between YouTube and podcasts and all the free trainings on my website, it's just, the fact is that the information is out there. But really it's about implementation and ultimately integration. I like to jokingly say more information and inspiration without implementation and integration leads to constipation. so you got to circulate, you got to metabolize those ideas.
Chew it very well, not just swallow it.
That's right. That's right.
Or you'll get constipated. Okay, I love
and
that.
So I that's why also I've created these tools so that people that just get the book, go to my site, go to the book page, put in your information, you'll get instant access. And it will literally help you. You can have a conversation. It's not a generic AI. It's embodied with these teachings. And you can actually get specific guidance and actions to take.
Wow.
Because faith without works is dead. You got to take action, because who you really are is what you do, not just what you think or say.
I like
or,
that.
or even believe. It's what you do.
What you
That's your
do.
real religion.
Yeah,
You
it's
want
how
to
you
know
show
what you
up.
really got. Exactly. You got to show up for yourself and for your
Hmm.
loved ones. And also because this is happening, the world is changing very fast. I don't think I have to tell anybody. There
No,
is a legitimate
very fast.
urgency. Yeah,
It's it's lightning speed. I feel that. I mean, even just
it
looking
is.
at 6 months ago to now, it's already
It's
progressing so
crazy.
much like crazy.
Not to mention all the geopolitical and social and polarization,
Oh gosh,
which is all
yes,
going to get magnified
big
by
time.
the technology.
Absolutely, it's only going to magnify what's already coming. Thank you so much. This was such a pleasure. Thank you for
You're
sharing your
welcome,
wealth.
Diana.
Thank you for all that you do and for writing this amazing book. I can't wait for everyone to get their hands on it. We will definitely have a link below so that you can get your hands on A Whole New Human. And of course, reach out to Derek for any support. It sounds like, I mean, to hear that he's got some free trainings, that doesn't happen very often with people in the transformational space. So I'm so happy that you shared that. We'll have some links below. Any final
Yeah.
words?
Just that while this is a scary time and a stressful time for a lot of people from an economic standpoint, from a work standpoint, just from a global perspective of what's going to happen and for our children, it's also important to understand two things. One, practically speaking, it really is also one of the greatest times to be alive, one of the greatest opportunities for you to live the life you are really made for, and to prepare your children for a greater life, to be truly empowered. So there is a tremendous opportunity right now, a tremendous opportunity to democratize and to what has not been available to everybody, and also the removal of the gatekeepers for education, information, transformation, and success for you and for your children, etc. So it's a great time to be alive, even if it's tumultuous and crazy. And also to understand that no matter what you've been through, no matter what you seem like you've lost, time, money, health, loved ones, I've had it all, you haven't lost anything real. That who you are and what's inside of you is still whole, still intact, still beautiful, still abundant, still brilliant. And if you start today, they say, when's the best time to plant a tree? 30 years ago. The next best time to live your best life is starting today, and you really can do it. I guarantee it.
Thank you so much. Wow, that was amazing. What a great ending of this episode. I hope you enjoyed this episode with Derek Rydall. And make sure to click on the link below. Make sure that you subscribe so that you don't miss any future episodes.